The way JJK had a grip on everyone back in 2020 is something I won't forget. I mean, this shit was like wildfire. You couldn't go anywhere without hearing about it, one way or another. It had a glorious amount of hype. But was it deserved? Not really, in my opinion, even though it was extremely enjoyable and is one of the highlights of 2020 for me. It still felt a bit too overhyped for just one season. The JJK manga, however, was extremely overhyped. I remember hearing about Shibuya incident way before I started the manga, and I was really excited for it, but it just didn't hit the expectations. Yeah, the character deaths definitely did hit emotionally, and some fights were cool, but other than that, it wasn't an arc that wowed me. Once again, it was still pretty enjoyable, but I was expecting a 10 out of 10 arc like everyone else was saying. And the reason for why Shibuya incident didn't hit me is the reason why the rest of JJK after Shibuya is so boring, and that is build-up execution. What is build-up execution, you ask? It's the ability to build up intrigue and interest in your character/world, and while it had normal character build-up initially, JJK started having difficulty in making us interested in new characters after the Toji arc. I had a bit of difficulty in caring about a lot of characters in the Toji arc itself, but in Shibuya is when it starts plummeting real hard. For scenes that included already known characters, there was some good fights and some good moments, but for the never before seen characters, swear to God I skimmed through that shit after nearly giving myself an aneurysm, trying to pay attention to a bunch of unknown, boring characters that wouldn't last beyond this arc. At the end of the Shibuya arc is when the big bad Kinjaku gets revealed, and that's the first instance of a big failed build-up in JJK. Cause God, what a boring ass, unintriguing antagonist he is. Comparing him to Aizen should be a literal crime, cause a lot of these JJK fanboys love saying he is the new gen Aizen, from manipulating some characters, I guess, I don't know. At the very least, Aizen had an intriguing presence. And then we get the Culling Games. I have no clue if this is still ongoing, as I last read JJK last September, but unironically, the Culling Games is the worst JJK arc so far. If we're talking about failed build-up, the Culling Games is the best example I can think of. A battle royale type of arc with hardly any of the old characters we knew. That's a clear recipe for a potential shit arc, and Akutami hit that potential hard. Maybe I'm being too harsh, but at the same time, it's dead true. Anytime we get to know the characters is during fights or moments before a fight, so all we know for the moment is X character gotta throw hands with Y character for Z reason. Like, we know nothing for a good while, and then the backstory of the character is just thrown on us, and you're just there reading it mindlessly so you can get to the next chapter and get to the fight. And the worst thing about these character backstories and reasonings being dropped on top of us so late is that it happens sometimes right before a battle or mid-fight. And if you've been reading JJK for a while, you know the most frustrating thing about the whole series is the power explanation expositions. Not only are the explanations executed in the most boring and monotone way, it's also always very long to read through, and the explanations are happening right in the middle of a fight, so you don't know where to focus your attention. Another thing that contributed to the flopping of JJK in a small but consistent way for me is the scaling of the JJK world. What I mean by that is that the JJK world feels too small and too cramped. The way the Sorcery Academy is set up just is stupid in my opinion. I'm not expecting 700 students as if this is Hogwarts or something, but there's literally only 9 students in the school of Itadori, and 6 students I'm pretty sure in the one that Toto goes to. This may sound like nitpicking, but this amount of student does nothing to create tension between the students and the faculty that the manga tried establishing, nor does it elevate the seriousness of the existence of sorcerers. It doesn't even feel like a school, nor does it look like they're actually learning how to be sorcerers, which then comes to affect the tension later on, because all the important power system info we need to know could have just been explained while showcasing how it is to be a student. But nah, Akutami just wanted to info dump in every fight for some reason. Another aspect of the scaling is the enemies. Because of how small the world feels, it doesn't feel like the antagonist belongs in their own world. Rather, it feels like they're a tool just there to oppose the protagonist and then disappear with hardly any lasting plot relevance. I think the only one who had plot relevance, or at least character relevance, was Mahito. I don't even think he had lasting plot relevance besides the way he impacted Yuji, I guess. With all this being said though, my opinion of JJK could change if I revisit it right now. Akutami can still fix this issue of scaling and build-up execution if he just takes his time. JJK ain't the only one that suffers from this type of issue though. Chainsaw Man is another huge new gen that suffers from scaling and pacing issues. I'm not joking when I say I couldn't remember a quarter of the manga as soon as I finished the last chapter, even though I was reading it weekly. It seems like it's a new gen issue because a lot of these new gens are pushed to end fast while they're still at the height of their hype so that publishers could make the most money out of them while they still can. If you made it till the end, I appreciate you for fully watching this, and it would be cool if you could like, subscribe, and comment what you think about this so that I could get the motivation to upload once more. Thank you.